This is the trailer for the next expansion. Apparently FanFest is on, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, I don't follow FF14 stuff because I am so frustrated with what they did with spoiling the story for, well, spoiling the zone for Dawn Trail. Fortunately, I've now reached a point where, and this is probably going to sound quite bad, my investment in FF14 is quite low. You know, I haven't yet played 7.4, let alone at 7. I know 7.5 is due out pretty soon. I haven't played the 7.4 stuff yet, and that's not been because, oh, I'm waiting until 7.5's out and then I'm going to play it all back to back or any of that kind of stuff. It's just that, it's not even the story related stuff, it's just that I have had so much other stuff to do, and I have been so frustrated with health stuff kind of capping my enthusiasm for getting the camera out and, you know, recording stuff with actual reactions. And that was always my thing with Final Fantasy XIV. Even when I wasn't doing it for other games, it was like, for 14 I'm gonna put the effort in, and I just don't have the energy anymore, and I don't know whether I'm ever going to have the energy again. It's been 18 months of these health issues with multiple different medications tried at this point. I'm just going to watch the trailer and see whether it looks cool. I have no idea what the story is. I have no idea if this is going to spoil some stuff for 7.4 for me. I imagine it's probably just going to be CGI stuff because it's a teaser trailer and that's what they do. But it is 4.26 minutes long. So, let's see. Anyway. Oh. Fire. And then ice. Oh, we're going to one of the shards, are we? Hold fast to what you must and meet your fate without fear. Oh, is that the key thing? Again, I haven't watched 7.4, so little flashbacks. Go forth, discover, unite the stars into one. We're going to do the rejoining. Let none bar your path. I thought the whole thing was that reuniting the stars was a bad idea.
It's my favourite story.
Oh, you know it better than me by now. But if you insist.
Yes!
So we're
I'm
going to a world of
Tell me about
ice.
the Promised Land.
Promised Land?
Long, long ago, in a time few yet recall, life prospered, for the world was rich in plenty. Majestic trees stood sentinel over lands without end.
So this was pre-Ice
Down
Age.
peaks sprang rivers, flowing into and feeding great seas. And
A crystal
noble
tower?
Kingdoms flourished, wanting for naught.
Ooh, they always have such good CGI. Oh, it's us. Oh, and we're being attacked straight away. Hey, Estinian's here. Oh, so's Alphino. Any hint of what the new job's gonna be?
But then came the relentless ice. The world grew cold, cold and still. Men succumbed to bitter sorrow. And as we struggled to
Ooh,
survive,
big.
they marched, and all was lost.
So are they going to try and repeat
No
Shadowbringers?
choice but to flee to the skies.
Ooh, that's pretty. Cold? Oh. Interesting. So,
Then what happened?
The land below became a frozen waste. But everything changed when they arrived.
they? Who's they?
The traveler. The one from the sky.
Hasn't?
Aye, though in those days we knew them as
Oh,
Wanderer.
interesting. So, Reaper is our iconic job for the expansion. January 2027? January? That's a weird release window, isn't it? Evercold. So yeah, it looks like we're going to one of the reflections. Which is cool, because let's be honest. There's nothing else. I like Dawn Trail. I like Dawn Trail and its story, I think, more than a lot of people did. Although I haven't played 7.4 and 7.5 and 7.55, because that's not out yet. I also liked Endwalker, I think, a lot more than some people did. But if you ask people, and this is just general thoughts that I've kind of gleaned over the years, if you were to ask people, you know, what their favourite FF14 expansions are, you're gonna get people saying Heavensward and Shadowbringers. And I am of the camp that I think Shadowbringers is one of the best expansions to any video game I've ever played. In terms of narrative. I love Shadowbringers because I loved the going to a different world and seeing how things were the same and things were different. And I have zero problem if they do that again, but instead of lights, they do ice. I don't mind that at all. Obviously, they will need antagonists, and again, because I haven't played 7.4, one of the last things I remember was the mention of, it was the Winterers, wasn't it? And it's like we didn't know anything about them at the time. We might know more about them now, but I haven't played the content. So Evercold, Winter, that's not a particularly difficult leap to make, even for somebody who hasn't played any of the stuff. So maybe that's what 0.4, 0.5 are leading to. The Winterers, Evercold. What is the plan? We know that, I think, that they were Asians. So yeah, something to do with a rejoining, something to do with ice. In terms of elements, obviously we've had darkness for the void. We've had light for the first. We had lightning for Alexandria. I don't think we've had any specifics, but again, I'm really, really out of the loop, and I'm not going to spend the time now going and picking up the Encyclopedia Eorzeas and double checking things, because A, that's work, and B, it takes me out of the moment of reaction. So that was a really cool cinematic, as I was expecting. It sets a vibe. It sets a tone. Will I watch any more stuff for the expansion? I don't know. I don't know because of what they did with Solution 9. I've said this in previous videos. I absolutely hated what they did with the reveal for that. I 100% think that for Dawn Trail, they should only have spoiled, quote unquote, stuff up to the 95 stuff. So all of the stuff with Tuliolol, that should have been the extent of what they released in their marketing with the run up to the expansion. I think all of the stuff with Alexandria, with Solution 9, with all the technology related stuff, if they had just let the players discover that, you reach level 95, it's like, hold on, that's kind of all the stuff that we've seen so far. What are they going to do now? And then you go to the Wild West Zone, you do your exploration round there, it's like, okay, not entirely sure where this is going, and then suddenly all of the stuff with the Dome and Alexandria, and that would have just absolutely battered everybody out of left field. And I think that would really have helped for a lot of people setting up the rest of the story. In my opinion, I think that would just have landed so well if we didn't know it was coming. And it boils down to, do I trust Square Enix's marketing to not do the same thing again? Because I was so let down by that spoiler. It's why I made a point of not watching the fan fests, not watching the live letters, all of that kind of stuff. Have I picked up on bits of we've gone on? Yes, it's unavoidable. I still follow people that are Final Fantasy XIV content creators. But I've basically blocked all stuff on social media for them, and there are quite a few people on YouTube whose channels I've just blocked because they spoil shit, and I don't want to see it. But I figured I'd watch this, just because people do on occasion still ask me, are you putting out any more Final Fantasy XIV content at some point, Dema? And hopefully I've now kind of explained why I haven't. I'm not bored of the game. I haven't been playing because I've been so busy, but my subscription is still going. In fact, I literally logged in today to do some daily quests, just because I fancied it and I knew there was a patch coming up. It's like, I probably should get the 7.4 stuff done. And I did start recording it back when the patch came out. Or, well, it was after the patch came out. It was a chunk after the patch came out, I believe. So, am I going to catch up? Yes. But I just want people to be, well, hopefully understanding, if not empathetic, of the condition that I'm in. Because as I said, what is in my brain, what is the point of a reaction video where you can't see somebody's reaction? And I don't know, but I wanted to watch the trailer, so I've watched the trailer. The trailer's really cool. I really liked that stitching effect. I liked the I liked this really kind of cool, everything's stitched together like a tapestry art style. I love the clouds. It reminds me very much of Van Gogh's Starry Night. Enemies look cool. Everything's kind of knitted and knotwork, and it's a very different, distinct style in comparison to Shadowbringer. I find it very interesting that we've got some Avar here. Again, these might be characters that we've already been introduced to in the story, but I don't know anything about them. I do find it interesting that we're going Reaper for this. And I find it interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, I suspect they've gone Reaper because it is darker and edgier. So they're bringing back some of that nostalgia for Shadowbringers, where of course the iconic job was the Dark Knight, and people loved I personally loved the edginess of that. But also, it makes sense because, of course, when we were doing the Reaper stuff, the Reapers come from the Frozen North, if I remember my what limited amount of lore I have retained for FF14. So it makes sense that they would be, suited for fighting in this kind of environment. But I imagine it's probably more just due to the fact that it's edgy boy, and hopefully we're going for kind of an edgier expansion. All of this stuff here with Asm and the key, all of this, uniting the different things, that's really interesting. Again, possibly tied into something that is either in 7.4, 7.5. I do need to get around to playing them. But it's like uniting the worlds back together. Surely that was what the Ascians wanted. Admittedly, they were doing it. Unless this is talking to the Ascians, it's not being directed at the player. That's a possibility. They've done misdirects like that before in trailers. So, yeah, the story continues to intrigue. That bit there, though, Asm's crystal disappearing, it looks like. Not just kind of fading out, but actually disappearing into motes of ether. Are they trying to close out the Asm story? Because in some ways that would be a shame. I think all of the stuff to do with the Ascians was the strongest... Well, the Ascians and Zodiac. That was, in my opinion, one of the strongest Final Fantasy stories. And the kind of Endwalker stuff, which I know not everybody was as fond of. And I think the problem with Dawn Trail was that we had this big chunk of time where the Ascians weren't present, but everybody was like, oh, when are they coming back? When are they coming back? When are we finishing them off? And you had that kind of dichotomy of, well, do we want to just keep bringing back this villain that people liked? Because then you just start losing the plots. Or do you want to change it up completely? In which case you end up with essentially what happened with Dawn Trail, where they tried for the patch and a bit to just say, no Ascians here, new plots, new characters, and so on and so forth. It's like, and for a lot of people that didn't land. So you can't please all the people all the time. Maybe having had a break from the Ascians and them coming back in right at the end of 7.3, I think it was. Maybe that will be enough for people. I don't know. But anyway, those are my thoughts. It's been months at this point since I've rambled on about FF14 in any capacity. So, showing off with that fur. Those are my thoughts on where we are at so far. Evercold, January 2027 is such an interesting release date. Have they released any other expansions in January? Don't know. Wonder what the date will be, because obviously my birthday's in January. 21st of January is my birthday, so yeah. The weird thing is, actually, in my brain, January 2027 is not actually that far away. But it's like, actually, it is only April, Dema. So you do have 8 months. But that's only 8 months, and it makes sense. You know, if 7.5's out in a few days, I believe it is, then 7.55 in what, 4 months or so? 5 months? assuming they keep the same cadence. I've no idea what they'll be doing, changing, or so on and so forth. I saw something from somebody about a big shake-up for the expansion, but not like a Realm Reborn shake-up. So I'm guessing, and I don't know because I didn't watch the video and I haven't read any of the stuff around it, I'm guessing Yoshi P probably said something along the lines of, oh, we're going to have a massive shake-up, and then he probably had to come out and clarify that, oh, no, I don't mean just completely remaking the game again like we did with Realm Reborn. But I think there has been a growing sentiment, that FF14 did and does need a shake-up. It needs not so much a reinvention, but if you take a look at, apparently, because I don't really follow this either, but what World of Warcraft has done with the kind of triple expansion thing that they've done, and they've added in stuff like housing, and apparently they've done that better than FF14, and so whilst FF14 was the game with good player housing, it's now been surpassed. The glamour system in FF14 is woeful in comparison to World of Warcraft. And I've been saying that for years because they introduced their transmog system ages ago. So I think there is this general feeling, at least for me, and I've caught glimpses of it on social media, that FF14 needs to play catch up. It needs to get caught up with WoW and other games. So maybe that's what's coming in Evercold. Either way, I really like the name for the expansion. I like the juxtaposition, actually, between Dawn Trail and Evercold. That sense of it's a new start. It's the warmth of the dawn, the journey that we're going on. And then it leads into Evercold. It's like there's almost that sense of what difference have we made in that implication. We saved the world, we went out, we started mentoring new people, we brought life and light to a new continent. We saved a people, and now we're faced with Evercold. It's the perpetuity of it in terms of the titling. It's not, and of course it also brings back thoughts about Shiva and Izel and Iceheart and so on and so forth. It's like some of that iconic stuff from Heavensward that people really loved. So yeah, it seems like there are certain themes, motifs from past expansions that they're kind of tugging on a little bit, threads, not necessarily narratively, but in kinds of visual identity. We've got the title, which juxtaposes with the previous title. We have got the ice motif, making us think of Heavensward. We've got the Reaper as the iconic character, giving us that slightly edgier, going to a different world vibe that we've got from Shadowbringers. None of that is coincidental. I'm sure that this has all been very, very meticulously thought through, especially based on the feedback that they've had with Dawn Trail over the last couple of years. Anyway, I've waxed lyrical. That's going to be it from me. Apologies again for the lack of camera. I don't know if it's ever coming back. I've actually taken the tripod and the camera down at this point. It's been off for months and months and months and months, but I've now just taken it down because it was in the way. So yeah, apologies if you really wanted to see me talking about stuff and reacting to stuff, but I just can't do it, which sucks. Please forgive me. Hope you've enjoyed these thoughts. Anyway, if nothing else, let me know with a like or something. This isn't me begging for engagement. I really truly do want to know. Do people still have any interest in me doing videos on FF14 and hearing my thoughts on them, especially if there is no camera involved? Let me know down below. Are you excited? For Evercold? No spoilers, please, because I haven't played 7.4 yet. Please don't spoil anything story related for me in the comments. That would suck. In fact, I think I might hold all comments on this video until maybe I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. As if that's never been clear. Have a great day, folks. Cheerio. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing. Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.